Welcome to another episode of Backup Fantasy Sports. It is Thursday, October 5th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, we're going to get into some Fantasy Premier League with a Game Week 8 preview. Before we get into all of that, if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Closing in on triple-digit subscribers, so trying to get there during the international break. Would greatly appreciate any support for the channel. And you can follow me on X at YouIn or You Out. Been calling it Twitter for a while now. It seems like we're not going back to Twitter, so it's going to be You In or You Out on X. But we are going to get into our Game Week 8 preview right away with a little Game Week 7 review. It was a disaster, as it seems to be going at this point. Captain Holland, 3 of 11 return. Chilwell to the surprisingly injured Botman. And yeah, just not having a great time with Fantasy Premier League right now. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are doing way better, so congrats to them. Hopefully you are not in the depths that I am in as of right now. But fortunately, the game gives us a quick fix. Wildcard. It is active. This will mostly be an episode centered around Wildcard, who you can go with, but it's also looking at 7 game weeks of data, who's doing well, who are the picks that we should be looking at for the upcoming game weeks. So stick around. Even if you're not on Wildcard, there will be some useful data. I just wanted to point out here how terrible it has been since game week 3. Look at that, 203K in the world. I was like, whew, we're doing pretty good here, folks. And my rank has 10 times that now, 2.49 million in the world. So the team was sinking. 2 of the last 3 weeks, I scored less than 40 points. It is time to get wild. So like the title of this episode, let's get wild. And we will just get right into it here. Fixtures for Game Week 8. Luton and Spurs kick us off at 12:30. Burnley, Chelsea, Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Sheffield United, Man United, Brentford in the classic Saturday afternoon games. Then Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest as the Saturday afternoon / nightcap. Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Newcastle, Wolves, Aston Villa, and the big one, Arsenal versus Man City on Sunday to wrap up the game week. Fixture ticker here, showing the next 5 game weeks. So Villa, Tottenham, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, and Wolves are the top 5. And Chelsea, Man City, Luton, Arsenal, and Brentford are the bottom 5. If you're listening on the podcast side, flip over to the YouTube side and you will see the fixture ticker courtesy of Fantasy Football Scout. Highly recommend signing up for their product. Fixture ticker here, just a little bit of a bigger breakdown so it's easier to see. I know the screen hasn't been super easy to look at. So best teams here, Villa, they have at Wolves, West Ham, Luton, Nottingham Forest, and Fulham. Spurs with the pictured man here, Son Heung-min, at Luton, Fulham, at Crystal Palace, Chelsea, at Wolves. So that's a great run of fixtures for the Tottenham players. Liverpool here at Brighton, Everton, and Nottingham Forest at home, and back-to-back weeks coming off the international break at Luton and then Brentford. Mohamed Salah is going to be a must for a lot of people in the Game Week 8 wildcard and probably the Game Week 9 and Game Week 10 and Game Week 11 wildcards. So just get him in now because the price is going up. Crystal Palace come here in 4th despite the injury to Eze. They still have the 4th best fixtures, so something to think about there. Nottingham Forest at home this weekend, then at Newcastle, Spurs at home, at Burnley, and Everton. So 3 of those 5 fixtures are pretty good for Crystal Palace. And then Wolves, Aston Villa at home this weekend, then at Bournemouth, Newcastle, at Sheffield United, and Spurs. So quite a mixed bag there in the top 5 teams. I would say Spurs and Liverpool, for me, have the best fixtures. Villa, Wolves on the road is a little bit tough. West Ham are, I think, tougher than most people give them credit for. But Luton and then at Nottingham Forest and Fulham, those are pretty nice fixtures. Worst teams here, Chelsea in 20th, so they have the hardest schedule coming up over the next 5 game weeks. At Burnley, that's not hard. Arsenal and Brentford at home, at Spurs, and then Man City. So it's pretty big gauntlet coming up. Chelsea's nice run of fixtures coming to an end here. Man City here, second hardest schedule, at Arsenal, Brighton, Man United, Bournemouth, and at Chelsea. It has me thinking that I do not need multiple Manchester City assets. I do need a certain Norwegian just for coverage. I'm not really on the get rid of Holland camp. I know it makes the team spectacular, but I'm just not gonna go there for right now, at least. I'm sure we'll get rid of him when he hit blanks, or maybe we'll just bench him in that game week 18 or game week 19 blank that Man City have when they go to the World Club Cup. Luton here, their double game week was okay. They got the win over Everton, but then they lost to Burnley. So they have Spurs at Nottingham Forest, at Aston Villa, Liverpool, and Man United. So if you brought in Carlton Morris or you have Kabore, stick him on the bench. I'd probably get rid of Morris altogether. Kabore, 4 million. He can stick on your bench if you'd like. At Arsenal, and then Arsenal have the fourth hardest fixtures here. Man City at home, at Chelsea, Sheffield United, at Newcastle and Burnley, and then Brentford here at Man United, Burnley, at Chelsea, West Ham, and then at Liverpool. So Brian and Buemo, Wissa, they haven't looked great. The team hasn't looked great since Rico Henry kind of went out. So it might be time to get off of Brentford assets. So as you can see here, I have one Spurs player. I have 0 Liverpool players. I have 0 Aston Villa players. I have 0 Wolves players. I have 2 Man City. I have an Arsenal. I have 2 Brentford or 1 Brentford. So the wild card is good for me to get off of some of these assets and get on some of the other teams with good fixture runs. So I'm going to go position by position here, just kind of break down the top 5 to 8 assets at each position, ranked by total points, and then just go through expected points, expected goal data, all that stuff. So top 5 keepers here on the season are Bernd Leno, Robert Sanchez, Areola, Vicario, and Johnston. Leno comes in with 21.7 expected points, 2.5 expected goals prevented. The expected points are from Fantasy Football Hub. The expected goals prevented are from Fantasy Football Scout. So shout outs to them. But Fulham have the 11th or the 10th hardest. They're right in the middle of the pack for fixtures. So nothing to really go on there. Sanchez plays for Chelsea. They have the toughest run of fixtures coming up. He has 33 points on the season, 27.17 expected points, and he's prevented 2.1 goals, expected goals this season. Areola, pretty much locked into my wild card already, 4.2 million. He's got 32 points in the year. Ninth easiest schedule coming up here, and 32 points in the season, 22.44 expected points. So he is overperforming his expected numbers, but 4.2 million. Very, very nice to have on a wild card. Vicario for Tottenham. They have the second easiest run of fixtures, as I just went over here. 24.66 expected points, 1.3 expected goals prevented, 5.1, a little too pricey for the wild card. Johnston is the other option at 4.5 that you could go with. Fourth easiest schedule here. 24.14 expected points. He's actually got a negative expected goal prevented. He's at minus 1.3, but he has 29 points on the year. So these are the top 5 keepers through the first 7 game weeks. Some people are on Leno. Sanchez was nice. For a while, Chelsea have kept 3 clean sheets now, including that Monday night win over Fulham. So something to think about there. But I think for goalkeeper, I'm just trying to fit as much money into the attack as I possibly can. So it's going to go Areola and probably Matt Turner or the backup goalkeeper of Flecken or Sam Johnson. I forgot which one they are on. Moving over to the defenders here, moving with top 6 now. So Joachim Anderson comes in with a massive 45 points. He leads Kieran Trippier at 43 points. Then it's Ben White, Matty Cash, Disasi, and Colwill for Chelsea, the Chelsea duo down there at the bottom. They do have the toughest schedule on the slate coming up over the next 5 game weeks, but That home game against Burnley is tempting. I thought about Colwell for a second, especially after his assist on Monday night, but that's a short-term pick. Wildcard's supposed to last quite a while, so I will probably be avoiding the Chelsea assets despite their temptation. And Colwell actually went up in price overnight, so he's at 4.6 now. Matty Cash has been very attacking, 3.7 expected goal involvement, 34.4 expected points, and he's bang on there at 34 points for the season with the easiest fixtures coming up. Ben White, 30.25 expected points, 36 total points. Arsenal, tough fixtures coming up. Kieran Trippier, 6.8 million. Hoping to catch a price rise. He is in my current wildcard draft. I'm honestly just trying to gain value there with Trippier. I might keep him in the squad, but that's one of the major kind of leverage points for the wildcard draft that I have. And Joaquin Anderson, 4.8, 1.2 expected goal involvement, 45 points. He is almost 17 points over his expected numbers and just doesn't have the pedigree and the history that Kieran Trippier has, but does have the fifth easiest schedule coming up. So I don't think I would go there, but props to you if you want to. I just don't think it's a viable long-term pick to keep picking up points in FPL. Moving over to the midfielders here, I've got 8 guys to break down. So this is in order of points. So Saka leads the position with 53, Son at 51, Bowen 48, Salah 44, Odegaard 43, Madison 41 points, and then Diaby and Matoma are down there with 40 points. Lots to think about here on the wild card. Son, Salah, Madison feel pretty locked in for me right now. Because Saka picked up an injury in the Champions League. He was nursing like kind of a niggle in that Bournemouth game. Then he started the game against Lens, and it was not good for him. Picked up an assist, but then went down injured in like the 38th minute. I'm not sure. Looked like a muscular injury. Gonna wait to see what Arteta says in his press conference. But yeah, with Arsenal's upcoming fixtures, I'm just not sold on going with Saka on the wild card. Bowen's giving me something to think about. Odegaard could be a nice option if you don't want to go with Saka, but Arsenal in general, not really about them at the moment. Diaby is someone I would love to squeeze into my wild card. I might have to downgrade him to Ward-Prowse. If I don't have Trippier, I can get Diaby, so that is something to consider. And then Matoma, so highly owned still. Brighton have their fixtures are starting to get better again. I think game week 10 is when they really turn. 6.6 million, 28.28 expected points, and 40 points on the year. But Brighton do have the sixth toughest schedule coming up here over the next 5 game weeks. But if you can hold out a couple more game weeks, or if you're on wildcard 10, Matoma will be a great pick then. I will probably hop on him. If I go with Diaby right now in game week 8 wildcard, I'll probably get him for these next 2 or 3 fixtures and then hop on Matoma whenever the Brighton fixtures turn. Madison, don't really need to explain him. He's been fantastic this year, 41 points. Salah with that upcoming Liverpool run. Expensive, yes. Must have, probably. Plays for my favorite team, yes. So he'll probably be in there as well. Forwards, finally. Erling Haaland is not the highest scoring fantasy Premier League player this year. It is Ollie Watkins after 4 goals in the last 2 game weeks, 54 points, a hat trick last weekend. Very, very impressive for the Aston Villa man. He has the easiest run of fixtures coming up. It makes too much sense to have him in your wild card. And yet, I do not have him in my wild card draft right now. Well, technically that's a lie because I do have him. I'm hoping to catch a price increase over the next 2 nights and kind of sell him. But as of right now, he is not lining up to be in my final wildcard draft. Erling Haaland is going to be there. Julian Alvarez is not going to be there. Carlton Morris is not going to be there. Edward, not going to be there. Solanke. Really, really liking Solanke for some reason. He has just caught my eye this week when I've been researching the wild card, and I can't get it out of my head. He's kind of like an earworm at this point. Just like You get one of those guys that you're just interested in, and it's one of your gut picks, and you really want to go with those on a wild card. It's going to be very similar to a lot of other Game Week 8 wild cards, but Solanke kind of gives me a differential against the rest of the crowd. He's less than like 3% owned in the game. So if he can bang, that would be fantastic for me. Actually, if we go all the way back to the fixture ticker here, we can see that Bournemouth have Everton, Wolves, Burnley, Man City, and Newcastle coming up. So for the next three with Solanke, you've got Everton, Wolves, and Burnley. Then you can jump off of him after Burnley to get back on Julian Alvarez potentially at Bournemouth and then Chelsea. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to see other forwards that you could go with. Just looking at the fixture ticker right now, but yeah, Solanke for the next three feels like a punt that I kind of want to take. Makes my wild card a little bit different, gives me some variance compared to the rest of the crowd. It's risky to go against Watkins and Alvarez, who will be highly owned by a lot of people, but I have this gut feeling that Solanke is going to do quite well over the next 3 game weeks. So he is currently in my wild card draft. But just to break this down one last time, Watkins, Holland, Alvarez, Morris, Edward, Awoniyi, Solanke, Awoniyi, I just butchered that, sorry. And then Solanke are the top 7 scoring forwards in FPL right now. Watkins is outperforming his expected points by 22 right now, whereas Holland is actually underperforming his expected points by 0.72 points. So I know people are talking about going against Erling Holland. Is he necessary? Are you going to captain him that much? Just he's 92% rostered in the game. I would not go against Erling Holland. Wild card for me. So I have my wild card draft here. And then on the next slide, I have one from FPL Review. So the keepers are Areola and Turner. My defenders are Kieran Trippier, Matty Cash, Pedro Paro, Cabore, and Taylor from Burnley. So very, very cheap defenders to round out my bench there. My midfielders are Salah, Madison, Son, Neto, and Ward Prowse. And then up front, I've got Erling Holland, Dominic Solanke, and Cameron Archer. Game week 8 expected points from FPL Review for this team is 55.8 points. And the wild card from game week 8 to game week 12 is expected to get 280 points if I just left it for the next 5 game weeks. Cash, I could go down to a doggy to get more money out of Pedro Paro, but he's been really attacking for Spurs. I watched that entire Liverpool game. It was Paro who kind of initiated the pace along the outside that led to the own goal, but Tottenham looked fairly flat against the low block that Liverpool are playing. They're playing Luton this weekend. I think that's going to be a good recipe for Poro to continue scoring FPL points. Madison and Son, because of Spurs' upcoming fixtures, just feels like a must. Salah, because of the upcoming fixtures. Ward Prowse got a bonus point despite not getting an attacking return and everyone else on his team getting a clean sheet. So I feel like he's a bonus point magnet, cheap enabler, along with Neto. It's a very stars and scrubs-ish like approach to FPL. Trippier could come out. I could spread that cash around, maybe move Neto up to like a Diaby. If I go Trippier down to, I'm not even sure how I would go down to. Let's go down. Let's go back to the defenders here. It wouldn't be Colwell, maybe 4.5, but Trippier's just been on it. He had another assist last night in the Champions League. So this is how I fit in all of these guys: Trippier, Salah, Son, Madison, and Holland. Obviously, no Man United, no Arsenal, no Chelsea. Man United's vibes are just terrible, so I'm not interested in going with them. This wild card feels good. I know it's different than a lot of other wild cards, which is always scary. Not the most risky FPL manager, but with how the season is going, I know it's only 7 weeks and there's still like 30 weeks to go, but this kind of feels like the right time to get on these assets. Not a lot of Aston Villa is scary. No Ollie Watkins is scary. If I do bring in Ollie Watkins, I'm not going to be able to have Trippier, so that will be kind of a bummer. But um, I really want Solanke. I really feel like he's going to do quite well this week and for the next 2 or 3 game weeks in FPL. So I also wanted to go through a FPL review wildcard here. So their optimized wildcard for this week, I did have to lock in Areola, Turner, Salah, and Holland because it was giving me a lot of wildcards without Holland, and that's just not going to really happen for me. So Areola, Turner, Salah, and Holland locked out. But the defenders here, Dallo, Cash, Paro, Pau, and Gabriel. And then the midfielders are Salah, Madison, Son, and Buemo, Gibbs White. The forwards are Holland, Solanke, and Archer. So that did give me a little bit more encouragement to go with Solanke because FPL Review said so as well. And they're very good at this. So that makes me kind of that makes me feel better that my gut was doing the right thing there. But 57.1 points they expect to score with this wild card in game week 8, and then 292.3 points over the next 5 game weeks. So that's only 12-point difference. That's well within like the swingy kind of outcome that FPL has been giving us this year. It feels a little like Watkins has already got his points. Are we really gonna keep bagging a hat trick every week? I don't think so. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards this setup right now. The main points here are if I get rid of Trippier, I could upgrade Neto and Ward-Prowse to something different. But I think I am going to roll with a 3-5-2. Neto's been pretty good. I do like Wolves' upcoming fixtures. This wild card feels good. I know it's different. It's gonna be very open to plummeting me down to like 5 million in rank, but it could shoot me all the way inside the top million. So this is where I am leaning right now, but I will probably have to lock my team in around Friday night because I am going on vacation starting today. So a little inopportune time for that. To kind of, why would I play my wild card before I go on vacation? Because my team was crap. So I had to get rid of those guys. But that is going to do it for this Game Week 8 preview with like a lot of wild card mixed in. Hopefully it's helped you. Hopefully there's been some stuff you've taken away from it. If you liked the video, just click that like button down there. Subscribe to the channel. Would super appreciate it. Give me a follow on X at UN or You Out. Good luck in game week 8. And then it's the international break. So I will not be doing an episode next week. I'll be back for the game week 9 preview. But once again, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.